I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but welcome to Molvel Marina in Palma, Mallorca. I haven't even been on a plane for well over a year, but some things are just too good to miss. And the reason I'm here is right behind me. This is J4, a beautiful Princess 88 motor yacht that is the latest charter vessel being operated by boats.co.uk. And very kindly, they have offered to give us an experience on board for a few days to get a feel for what it's all about.
Welcome aboard.
Right, well that is as clean and neat as you are ever going to see the boat, because once I get on board, and I have to say it's not just me, they've very kindly let me invite a few friends on board, so I'm going to welcome them on and get stuck in what looks to be a really special few days. We're just making our way around the west side of Mallorca now, and you can see some of the spectacular scenery around here. I mean, these sheer cliffs that just rise out of the sea, beautiful deep blue colour, some amazing villas on land, and just the most gorgeous temperature. It's about 30 degrees with a nice cooling breeze, and the view to die for. I've got to say, it really is a spectacular holiday. So we're just creeping through the little strait between the mainland Mallorca and Dragonara Island. You can see over to our port side. And the cooling breeze has died. It's now 30 degrees and you can feel every one of them, but looking absolutely stunning. The conditions could not be better for boating. And there's the Guardia Civil in quite an aggressive looking boat. That looks like that could chase down pretty much anything. Let's hope he's not chasing us today. And this is where we have stopped for the night, in a beautiful little cove just round the southwest tip, so on the northwest coast in this spectacular little bay where we're the biggest boat by some margin, but there's a few other people who clearly come here to enjoy the evening sunset. Will be interesting to see how many actually stay for the night, but we've dropped the anchor, going to spend the night here and hopefully wake up to a blissfully calm and empty spot all to ourselves. In the meantime, we're just going to drink in that amazing view and make the most of being on board for a few days. Apologies if I look a little bit bleary-eyed. We've just spent the first night in anchor, and as always on the first night on a boat there is slightly strange noises going on. You can hear the generator humming away a little bit in the background, and occasionally the flap of the stabilizers keeping us nice and still. But when you wake up, the reward is really something special, because this is the view you get outside your cabin window. Absolutely stunning. It's that sapphire blue water just lapping occasionally at the hull. You can see the reflections dancing on the bulkheads. There's absolutely no one else around, just us, the sea, beautiful coastline. I think you'll agree, this is what the magic of boating is all about. Right, I think the time has come to test out the water. I'm hoping it's slightly warmer than it was last time. Let's go. I think this is one of those moments you're going to look back and remember for many, many years to come, and tell your grandkids about the time you had a few days on board a Princess 88 in Mallorca, and just how special that was. Check this view out. The balcony is down. We're just about to have breakfast, and everybody sitting on the balcony enjoying the peace of an empty bay. And I have to say, from the water, the boat is absolutely stunning too. What a spot. I've managed to find a little GoPro mount for the Seabob, so let's give it a go. Oh yeah! How good is it? It goes really quite deep, quite fast. Whoa. I've just crept ashore and shimmied up the footpath a little bit in bare feet on frankly quite prickly rocks, but it's worth it for this view of the bay that we're in. You can see Paul and the little Williams jet rib down below. He dropped me off on the quay. There's a little stone quay, a little bit tricky to get to, but he skillfully brought it right up and I could just hop across onto the stone. And now you can see a full view of the bay, and right in the background is our boat anchored up there with a couple of other big boats around it. There's a Riva 75 Venere and what looks to be a custom line, all just bobbing around in this beautiful bay where we're going to spend the day mucking about with all the toys. But that is really stunning location. And there's that Elephant Head rock just from the side. We can't quite see the arch there. But it's so worth it for that view. So this should be a bit of fun. I'm on the electric surfboard. You can see if we can manage to actually drive this whilst hanging on to the camera. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, but we'll give it a go. Because you've got to get it down with one hand, wind through the gears, and now we're into third gear. Woo! How much fun is this?
unnecessary chuckling.
Well, it's now the third day of our charter, and we've just enjoyed a wonderful night on a berth in Solaire, where we went out in the evening, we booked ourselves into a nice local restaurant, had a very enjoyable meal there, and then came back onto the foredeck of our boat here, where we were berthed right next door to a brand new Sunseeker 90 Ocean, who happened to have a massive foredeck projector screen on the bow of their boat. So we ended up watching the final of the Euros across our foredeck onto their foredeck, cheering along with them and really enjoying a very entertaining night. And then after a very lovely sleep and a nice quiet berth there, obviously when you're in a marina it means you don't have to have the generator running and you don't need to use your stabilizers at all, so it was a very quiet, comfortable night in the cabin. And then this morning, it is a little bit hazier this morning and the wind is on its way, so what we're going to do is, we had planned to make our way back to Port Andrax and pick up a buoy there, but I think it's just going to be too uncomfortable. There's going to be too much swell coming in. So we're going to gradually make our way back to Palma instead. But in the meantime, we've got the pleasure of a long, gentle cruise along the coastline, taking in the views. And that's one of the beauties of a charter. You don't have to be constantly throwing yourself into activities. You can just afford to chill out, have a cool drink on the foredeck, have a bit of a chat with your friends, your family. It's such a relaxing way to travel. So peaceful, we've got this constantly changing scenery, the lovely gentle noise, water lapping against the hull, and the very soporific motion of the boat just gradually bobbing along. It's such a relaxing, chilled out holiday. Now, one of the joys of chartering a boat in Mallorca is there's always a bigger boat than you. And here in the Bay of Palma, there are some absolute whoppers. Now, I can't see what that super sailing yacht is called, but that's got to be a good 70 metres. I mean, that is a big boat, but not as big as the one that we're just about to pass over here. Look at the size of this thing. You can see there's a little hatch in the bow there, so someone can come out and keep an eye on what the anchor's doing. She's called Tranquility. It's a 90-metre Oceanco, reportedly costing around 125 million euros. And you can see out the back there's a huge beach club. They've got an inflatable set of stairs and platforms and a custom tender swinging off the back. That is a very large yacht indeed. Now, rather sadly, we are coming back into Palma, which means that we are coming towards the end of our little 4-day charter. But we have one more evening here. We're going to be back on the dock. We'll be able to go out to a restaurant in Palma Old Town and enjoy a slightly different slice of Mallorcan life. But the time we have spent at sea has been absolutely magical, and a time I don't think any of us will ever forget. Sad to say, this is the last morning of our charter on board J4. We've enjoyed a fabulous breakfast up on the flybridge overlooking the town of Palma, and the rest of the guests have gone off into town to take a last few moment, doing a bit of shopping in the local food market, buying a few souvenirs for friends and family. But I've stayed on board so that I can drink in every last moment of my time here. A charter like this is obviously an amazing experience, and with a boat like this Princess 88, it is unbelievably luxurious. There's every single cabin has a space, has its own ensuite. There is all these different spaces on board that, even with a group of 8 adults, there's this fabulous bow area, there's the cockpit, there's the flybridge, there's the saloon. You can really spread yourselves about, and then of course there's all the toys. But you almost take that for granted. You know, the boat is a big, lovely, expensive boat. It's going to be luxurious. But what really makes a charter experience are the crew. And
it's really them I wanted just to say a few words about, because there's a number of different things that really make it work. There is obviously the captain Paul and his calm, quiet confidence, his ability to fix everything that goes wrong, because believe me, whatever boat you charter, there is always going to be a little bit that's going wrong here or there, and his ability just to sort it out on the spot and make sure that it doesn't spoil any of your charter experience is astonishing. There is Victoria, the chief stewardess and chef, and her ability to rustle up the most amazing food at short notice is an absolute defining part of the experience. We've enjoyed so many memorable meals, whether that's just a simple breakfast on board or a wonderful supper under the stars. She's always there just to look after you. It's almost like she intuitively knows what you want at any given moment and is there to make it happen, and her attention to detail is remarkable. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a cheap holiday, a charter boat like this. This particular boat for a week in high summer is 49,000 euros for the basic price of the charter, but on top of that you need to factor in the fuel, the berthing costs, the provisioning and a crew tip. So realistically it's probably going to cost you somewhere between 60 and 70,000 euros. Now that's a lot of money, but it's actually good value for a boat this size. For me, a holiday shouldn't really be measured just in terms of what you get for your money or how luxurious it is. For me, a holiday should be measured in the memories it makes. And I've got to say, there are so many special moments that we are going to look back on as a group, that we will always share those moments together. And whether that is dining on the flybridge under the stars, whether that's diving around the boat on the sea bobs and seeing the anchor sparkling on the seabed below you because the water's that clear and that warm, or whether it's drinking champagne in the hot tub, a decadent moment on a morning, but shortly after breakfast. It's those little precious magical moments that will stay with you long after the few days that you've had on board. So if you look at it as that, in terms of memories made, memories shared with friends and family, for me you can't measure that in money alone, and that is what makes a charter on board J4 quite so special, quite so memorable. And if you do have the opportunity to do it, if you can afford to do it, it will make those memories for you, and I guarantee you, you will never forget that.